What is DocAccess? It not only makes your PDFs accessible through an accessible transcript, we included some other tools in it as well that we'll review just to make it a more useful PDF, a more useful document. Rather than having people just look at pages, now they can interact with different tools and get different things that they need through DocAccess. So the big thing here to kind of review are the accessibility regulations. I know a lot of you have been aware of the WCAG 2.1 AA standards, which is kind of the gold standard for accessibility. Other folks in Colorado, you've already begun getting caught up to speed as of July, making sure you're compliant with HB 211110. And then other folks are getting ready and gearing up for the DOJ ruling, which comes into effect 2026 for some entities and 2027 for some others, like special districts. So all of these sort of things are stacking upon each other, all pointing to that gold standard, which is the WCAG guidelines here. So how does DocAccess comply with this? Mac, I'll hand it to you.
Yeah, so we have found when speaking with users who actually have disabilities that what they really want is just the website to be compliant. And they don't even like documents or PDFs that much, but they put up with them. They said, if we could have our dream, it would be that just everything was on the website and we're WCAG 2.1 AA compliant HTML. And it gave us an idea. We're like, well, what if we actually built websites for all of our customers' documents? We're like, but how could we ever do that? And we need it to also work for all the non-customers too. So that's what DocAccess is it's actually all your websites transcribed into, or all your PDFs transcribed into fully accessible versions. And those fully accessible versions actually become the primary format. They're actually listed first for anybody on a screen reader, and they're actually what default in mobile and other devices. And so people don't riot, we make sure to have the print-friendly version, presented right there, easy to find. But in fact, the primary version is the WCAG compliant version. And then the PDF then becomes the alternative format, which is just for print friendliness. And that's how we meet the law. And we really aim to meet that well and to make it, absolutely doable. And we felt good about this because we've now spent years building accessible HTML web pages for people. So that's what DocAccess is bringing up that HTML version right there in your website.
Yeah, exactly. And we know a lot of people, you have different versions of PDFs, things change over the years. So then rather having to repeat that process, fix those PDFs all over again, moving to the HTML as your primary format is a lot more efficient in the long-term span, as well for all of your content.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about how it works here. So converting a PDF to an accessible transcript, what does that mean? So what DocAccess does is it looks at your PDF, even if it's a gnarly budget document, even if it has handwriting, some chicken scratch maybe from someone's signature, or maybe it's like a really old historical document that's literally, an old book that someone scanned at a library, but it's a historical piece that they want available on their website. What DocAccess does, it actually looks at that and then it's able to take all of the content off, peel it off and form an accessible HTML version, which is just like a regular web page. And then it can make that version WCAG 2.1 AA compliant. So it's pretty impressive. It can pick up all of your alt text and it can figure out what certain devices are in your images, give it the proper alt text, and really kind of go through all of those difficult sorts of content pieces and make it fully accessible.
You also get the chance to ask your document a question. And we love this functionality. We use it all the time when we're trying to look up something quickly in a document. And it's great. And just like we've gotten so used to ChatGPT, ask a question. Well, it's that capability, but extended to your document with all the context of the document. And what's really powerful, combined with translation, which Maria will mention, you can actually ask questions in any language and it'll respond in any language.
This is actually really helpful in Colorado. You had a recent bill for metro districts pass. If you actually look at any bills on the state of Colorado's website, the PDFs are not accessible. You can't even control F. I couldn't find certain information in there and I would have to scroll through a bill, which is so hard to read it sometimes. So I actually just put it into DocAccess and then I could search throughout that document super quickly. I asked it questions. It got me exactly what I needed to know about the bill. So it's really useful just getting information you need quickly because sometimes, as you all know, your agenda packets could be hundreds and hundreds of pages. Maybe someone in the public is just looking for, hey, what is the property tax rate for next year, estimated things like that. They can get it super quickly. Like Mac mentioned, you can also translate it into different languages. This was implemented because of all of your feedback for the website. I know a lot of you have Prop 218 notices, different notices that you have available to the public, or maybe you just have folks in your community that primarily speak another language that isn't English, and you want to make sure that they can get the information that they need. Well, we included a translation into DocAccess as well, and what's cool is that it auto at the top, it gives the top five languages spoken. So it's really easy for people to find what they need, and they can use all of the tools in their native language as well. They can even download that accessible transcript in that version as well. So it's pretty incredible.
Now, we also added a document outline, and document outlines are done multiple ways. Like we do it with the heading levels for the users with disabilities, but for everybody, everyone loves a document outline, a table of contents, if you will. And so DocAccess does that automatically. Even if you don't have one, it will figure it out by reading your content and create a logical outline of the document structure.
The next one here is pretty incredible. It's called IRA. I know in Colorado, the Department of Colorado or the state of Colorado has actually contracted with IRA, but you might see it at places like the grocery store. I think Starbucks recently rolled it out as well. Basically, it's a service where people can hop on their phone and connect with a live visual interpreter. So if they're at Starbucks trying to pick a croissant, maybe they're blind, it could say, hey, that one looks the freshest. Or maybe they're picking out bananas at the grocery store. Someone can say, hey, those are the ripe ones up to the very far left. And so it really helps people get what they need and contextualize things, as they're navigating through their daily life. So we decided to bring Ira into DocAccess because we understand sometimes folks need more than just an accessible transcript. You have maps, you have, great visuals on your site, and DocAccess will check that box and make it compliant. But maybe they need to see, hey, where's my home, within this map, within these certain boundaries? Like where am I situated? Or maybe some context for a before and after picture. Or maybe it's a fillable form and they need some help on filling that out. They can connect with Ira for free. It's 30 minutes provided for free. They just click connect now, it hops up, and then they can walk through that document with an interpreter.
Yeah, and 30 minutes free to any user. So if you have 20 requests in your community, each of them you get a half an hour of visual interpreting, which is a lot of time. And it's usually more than enough to solve whatever practical impediment they might have. And this is the bridge. So like if ever there is an issue with the document or an issue with our transcription, we make sure that we don't rely solely on AI. We make sure to have humans in the loop, and then those humans will actually record with the permission of that person the interaction, and they provide a full report to us on what was not compliant, so we can fix that immediately for the future.
So that's a little bit of an overview of DocAccess. We'll give you a demo, of course, at the end of this presentation. But as far as like getting set up for Streamline customers, it's very easy. We actually opened up DocAccess to even non-Streamline websites, so anyone can use it. Cities, towns, we even have some universities that are looking at it as well. So it's very simple. You can just sign up through the app, which we'll give you a link at the very end. You can activate it on your site with Streamline. You just click add, and then you'll get some confetti that shows you that it's been added. And it's super quick and seamless with Streamline. It'll actually sync all of your documents. It finds what's publicly available versus what's archived. If you delete files, you remove them from your site, DocAccess will sync and update with you. And the greatest part is that it's cheap and it's easy. So it's pennies per page. We wanted to make it very cost efficient for you. Since it isn't, a physical remediation of the document, there's no human involved on Adobe Acrobat using it. It's very cheap and very simple to provide this solution for you all. All right. So Mac, do you want to drive the demo or do you want me to?
Sure. Yeah. Either way.
Okay, I'll let you grab it.
All right. Anybody interested in being a demo today? Anybody want to sign up live? And no worries if not, I have a demonstration site, but sometimes it's kind of fun. Someone's willing to raise their hand and we'll walk through it together. Oh, Tamara. Okay. Tamara, you'd like to do that? Cool. Tamara, what is are you San Miguel CSD? Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. So Tamara's there. Tamara, I'm going to uninstall for 1 second and then reinstall just to help make it clear. So don't spoil the surprise.
I'm actually going to pop the link in the chat for everyone, just so you're aware of how to sign up. So you'll just go to this website here. You can click test my pages, add your website in there, and then it will start to sync with Streamline automatically. What Mac is on here, so that'll be the login page for you all. This also has some like pricing information and FAQs. So if you have any questions, you can always navigate there, and we'll keep that updated. Now, what Mac was on is the control center. So once you are able to get your account set up, you'll see this page here. And this is basically where you're going to do all of your actions. It's separate from Streamline, so just be aware of that. You're going to have to go into the DocAccess app, basically just for right now to kind of control how it's working. So as you can see here, we have your sites, we have the domain added, and then Mac will go ahead and take it from there and show you how it works.
Yeah. Thank you, Maria. So once you're in, and like we said, signing up is super easy. Just put in your site and your name, hit the button, and you get an email, and then you click that and you're here. So step one is to add the helper script. So for those of you not on Streamline, there are going to be instructions in here on how to add that. But if you're on Streamline, oh, this is so easy. You slide the switch, and when you see confetti, you're all done. So it's that easy. Here, I see the confetti, so I'm all done, and that is it. It's that simple. Then this will turn green. My number one box is there, and so now Tamara can say, yes, I'm all set. The next step is to confirm your document inventory. So in this case, I'm actually just going to click sync. With Streamline, it's really easy. So it will read all of your files from Streamline. And if you're not on Streamline, it will, once you get that helper script into your site, it'll help you count up all your documents and the number of pages, which is really helpful. But what's great is you get Streamline completely free and fully functional for 30 days. So no limits, no nothing. You don't even have to put in a credit card. You're just off to the races. Okay, so of Tamara's files, it's analyzed this and it has said, oh, we have 58 not accessible. So Tamara, if it's cool, I'm going to also do San Miguel CSD. So let's see what she's seeing on the Streamline side. She says, please. Oh, look, you're all so busy. Like, this is just one more thing on your list. So we tried to design this to be as simple as possible. So here's Tamara. Like most people, she's absolutely a superstar in all areas, but those damn files, always these damn files. And she's really, I mean, look, she's done such a good job, but there are 58 that are not accessible. So what we're going to do now, normally in Streamline, you would get a list of all the things that aren't accessible and you would see what's going on. But what's so nice is it just forklifts all of this over to DocAccess. It looks like there's 58 that are missing. So it's cool. It's even going to add 41, and it'll even show you like which ones need to be added, which ones need to be updated, and how many are going to go into the archive and can be removed. And so you just click proceed with sync, and magically it goes through all of your documents, syncs them with DocAccess. And this is basically, you're giving permission to all those files that maybe weren't linked on any page or were just sort of behind the scenes or whatever. And then it's going to go through and it's going to make sure that all of this is synchronized with your DocAccess site. All right, so just synced 1,400 files. And now what we're going to see down here is it's going to grab a few of those that were missing, and it's going to begin transcribing those pages, including this big 314 page behemoth. So off to the races it goes. And then
note about this for Streamline folks, you can move things in and out of the archive and delete them off of your site as you usually do. DocAccess is looking for publicly available files. So if you move things into the archive, we'll take it off of DocAccess because it's not available. You don't need to worry about accessibility. If you delete things from the site, same thing. Once it syncs, it reads that it's been deleted and it removes it off of the list. So your document list that we're going to look at will be the most accurate, like up to date. What can the public see? What can they find on your site?
Mm-hmm. So now step 3 is select the kind of documents you want to enable it on. So that is this set auto enablement preferences. So all these are transcribing away. I know we have just gotten so busy. So sometimes if doc access is slow, just hang in there. Your documents serving to the public are on a separate service that's redundant worldwide. Like they will never go down. But this poor service, the thing that's doing the transcriptions, it was doing Maria during our last webinar was doing 5,000 pages per minute. And so it is going so hard trying to keep up. There's now over 5 million pages that have been remediated and served on DocAccess. So it's pretty incredible. And it's 37 days old as a product. We just launched July 1st. So pretty incredible. So you'll get some choices. First is what to do about your inaccessible PDFs. So here, Tamara's chosen yes. These are all off by default. So you'll turn on for sure, do this. For accessible PDFs, you can turn it on for that, but you don't need to legally because you're already covered. But for user experience, maybe you want people to be able to translate. Maybe you want them to be able to ask questions even on your accessible documents. So you have the choice. What's nice if you turn it on, it'll ask you, do you want to go ahead and enable it or just enable it for new documents going forward? Oh, it's funny. So it's added a few more accessible documents even since it populated this list.
And some folks like to keep the accessible on if you want to use the translation tool, or maybe you just want the consistency across your site to all look like the doc access viewer, you can flip that on. So it's totally up to you.
Yeah. Then you also have this thing that Streamline doesn't even do. This is documents hosted on other domains. So this is pretty interesting. So there's 16 PDFs here, and then it has the still scanning. So there's 39 PDFs that have 4,800 pages that are currently being analyzed. Then you have large documents, and this is off by default, but these are pages. These are, oh my gosh, 17,000 pages. So we need to look at what these are. But it's pretty cool. In DocAccess, you can have a look at what is, what's going on and what needs to be done. And all of this is available for you. And you have in here, the ability, if you ever want to like filter, you can actually filter by stuff that's on your website, stuff that's maybe on other websites, and you may or may not want to remediate these. Technically, like everything on your website is part of the user's experience. So it's really awesome about DocAccess is that it can even take care of other people's files. So this is like an SEIU piece of content that you're linking from your site. And sure enough, it is completely now transcribed and ready to go thanks to DocAccess. So anyway, it'll take care of even all of these files and take them and make sure that they're all perfectly converted.
Yeah. So if you go into Doc Access and you're like, it says I have, 1,300 PDFs, and then you go onto your accessibility dashboard and says 1,000, just know that's the difference. Doc Access can intercept those third-party ones. So if it doesn't make sense, it's because it found those third-party domains, and you can always flip that off if you'd like.
Yep. And so that's why DocAccess will have a few more than your dashboard and Streamline generally under normal operations. And that, of course, you can control here. Also, by default, it will not turn on remediation for things over 300 pages. It's going to let you do those just to make sure there's something that you want to do. Now, you should do them, especially if they're not accessible. But this will be like, even for your inaccessible ones, this is like a kill switch for those big ones, just to make sure if you have a 10,000 page document of something, it's not going to go ahead and grind through all of that if you end up not needing it.
And so what's nice about these are they're kind of like set it and forget it tools or settings here. What's nice, once you have Doc Access added to your Streamline site, it'll always be scanning. So as you upload, next month's agenda, the last month's minutes, all of those files, it's intercepting those files, it's scanning them if they're accessible or not. And then depending on those settings that you've set or preferences you've set up, it flips it on automatically or it doesn't. So you don't have to worry about coming here every time you upload a PDF. Those settings will take care of it for you.
Yep. So we can see here, I'm able to sort by clicking on any of these columns. So there are some really big pages here that have issues. So I'm just going to open one of these. Oh, it even takes a while for my computer to load it. It's probably, my video is probably going to get choppy while I'm pulling it up. But it looks like this big document of 31 megabytes. Let's look at what this is and why it's included. Okay, so here we've got, even the PDF doesn't want to open regularly in here. So you have this big, yeah, it looks like legitimate content, right? I mean, this is the board packet. And what happened is there's like a really big page in here somewhere that's so wide that it blew up the display of this. So if I scroll down, oh my gosh, look at all this. But this is all like important, legitimate content. Yeah, it looks like you've got some budgets in there, big things. So yeah, so you just turn DocAccess loose and it can remediate all these pages as well. So there's a few to turn on there, or if you want, you just flip on large documents and then it will go ahead and start processing those pages as well.
One thing you also notice on that document list is the D letter under the pages. So if you do have duplicates, like let's say you have this agenda packet posted 3 places on the website, even if it's a link within the link of the agenda, it'll find it and it'll let you know if there's a duplicate there. Don't worry if it's flipped on and enabled, it's not, doing double the amount of work, charging you the double amount of pages. It knows to ignore those duplicates. It'll still work whenever they open it on the website, but you won't be charged for it. So it's just a identification thing there.
And look, you can see they're on completely different sites and they have completely different names.
Mhm.
And it even still figures that out because it actually analyzes the document and basically counts every byte of the document, every letter, and will do a full comparison to make sure they're exact matches. And if they are, it will never charge you twice for the same document, even if you've posted it multiple times. And it will automatically just fetch that same version for everybody.
And there's different things like let's say you just flipped it on, you're looking through trying to inventory and see what you want to, work on or not. You can just work within your document center there. There's a way for you to open up that original PDF, preview it just like you're seeing what Mac is opening here, like what the public will actually see. So you can take a look and see what that transcription is like. You also have the ability to include a link. So if somebody, from the board is requesting the file, they're not finding it on your website, you have the ability to either email it to them directly so they can open up that link, see that viewer, or you can copy and paste a link. You could put it in a brochure somewhere if you're emailing it out, if you have a notice in an email. So people don't have to go to the page, find the document. They have a direct link to a DocAccess view.
Mhm. So it's the process of taking something that's not compliant. And so, like, if we were to take this file, for example, and disable it, we would then click and we would see the report that says, hey, this is not accessible. And then we could turn it on and then it is accessible. So it's pretty amazing how that works. And for the power users, those of you out there, so here I'm going to just click on this really fast. So you'll see like, hey, here's the accessibility report. Like there's some issues. There's 16 issues. Here are all the issues. Here are the pages that it's on. And it's nice. It'll link to you and show you all the technical information. But if you want to just not have to figure out what all of that is, you just go enabled. You just wait a few seconds. And now this document is fully compliant. And then you just go back to this page and then it will say accessible via DocAccess, and then it'll have the scan of the HTML version showing that it's passing and what issues get addressed.
And that
So
right there is one of the updates that came as a request from everyone as well. We know when you were opening up those common look reports, and it was that big table of, all of those standards to follow, and it was super confusing, like we heard you there. So we actually rolled out new accessibility reports through DocAccess. These will eventually be rolled out on your Streamline site as well to replace those common look reports. And as you can see here, you can look at the document live as you look through the issues, and we per your requests, like changed it from super technical terms into some more understandable terms. So you can kind of see what are the overarching issues for my document in case you wanted to fix it yourself.
yeah, or at least we died trying. It's not always possible to make these things super intuitive, but we did try our best to make sure that you get what you something that hopes and aims to be more human.
Mhm.
But more than anything, we aim to just fix it for you. So you just be in good shape and be ready to rock and roll. So it's really nice is as these are added and as these are enabled, I'm going to go ahead and just enable, I think all the categories are on. Yes, we're just waiting for them to populate. And you always have the ability to like bulk do changes. So I'm like, oh, here, there's 18 documents we could enable. Here, I'll go ahead and enable those. It can do all of that automatically inside of DocAccess and make those reports available. And then what's
So if
cool,
you like open up your site and you have like thousands of files and you want to inventory and decide what you want to flip it on and off for, just use those filters in your control center. Use the search bar. It's more helpful than you think. If you want to remove all your 2017 documents, like search by 2017, and then you can bulk deselect them all at once. or you can filter by the page count. So that'll kind of help you get through that huge list of all of your documents and figure out what you need it for and what you don't.
Yeah, exactly.
We have a couple of questions here. One from Megan. Does the document have to be on your website, or can you download any file to get accessible?
That's a great question. It's designed to work with files that are publicly available on your site. But if you want to remediate any document, we do have people doing this. They just upload it to a page on their site or just put it in their file system, and then it's able to add that. You are, I think, also able to add thing in the missing files
Mhm.
tool, I think down at the bottom. So there's a cool thing that says missing files, and you can actually just like give it a link and it will process it from there as well. Just
Yeah, so basically DocAccess is looking for a URL like sanmiguelcsd.org or something.org.com. That's a PDF. It'll find it, and then that's when it can transcribe it. If it's a Word doc, if it's, something different, it won't be able to find it. It has to be a PDF, so just be aware of that. Also, if you move things into the archive where that's not publicly available, that will be removed from your list as well. Another question from Danny, about the pricing. We will get to that in just a minute, Danny. We're going to talk about the billing and the pricing for you all. Another question from Janet. Do you end up with both versions, accessible HTML and the original PDF, saved on the Streamline website?
yeah. So what you end up with, and here let's go to the public site, find some good examples here. What you end up with is the yeah the both available to the public. So the PDF stays in Streamline, and then the remediated version becomes available to the public through DocAccess. And so, but the reason it's interesting, it doesn't like save a transcribed copy for your reference or anything, because we update this transcribed copy all the time. Like we are going to be launching a new service that remediates tables and does an even better job with small text and tables. So we're going to go back and redo all the tables. Like we just are doing that all the time in the background. WCAG 2.2 AA is going to come out. We're going to have to go back and change the transcripts. There's new standards and stuff. So we're always like kind of revamping those. And so in order for them to really be sort of accessible and guaranteed the way that to the standard we hold ourselves, we have to be hosting it with IRA plugged in, with the ability to ask a question, et cetera, et cetera. So they're not really like static, like a PDF would be. They're living documents. And so we see this more as a service that layers on, that's always, providing an up-to-date website copy of that document. And that's what's really cool about this. Like if you're like, oh shoot, I have a typo, I need to redo this document. It's like, no problem. DocAccess, it's free to update documents as many times as you need to. You never get variance in cost. So that actually is a great time for me to hand it to Maria for cost and pricing. And we can talk about that, and I'll get that pulled up here.
I can share my screen. All right, so let's hop over here. So one thing, once you set up your account, there's the control center, which we were just on, and then billing and plans. Let me go to just over here to find the pricing. So this is our pricing here. So there's different tiers. This is in addition to your Streamline, it's separate. This is just charging for the website pages or the PDF pages. So it's charged per page. So if you have a document, 300 pages, it's 6 cents per page. Now there are different options here for within each tier. So you can go up, depending on how many documents you currently have, or that you plan on having. It's up to you. It's flexible and it's month by month. You can pay annually. It gets cheaper if you pay for multiple years, but it's designed to be flexible because, maybe for the first month, you want to make sure they're all accessible, and then you end up deleting some things and archiving it. You can work your way down a tier or so. So it'll be charged monthly here, unlimited traffic, unlimited users. That includes that IRA, that half an hour that's included for free. All of that is included within this price here, and all of the tools. We do have a separate support channel for this as well. Now, if you do have a lot of documents, let's say you have 10,000, 100,000, maybe your enterprise level, the pages themselves will come with indemnification too. So you have that for your current website as well, but we just layered that on additionally for sites that have a lot of documents and a lot of pages here. So the nice thing about once you do set up your account with DocAccess is that it will start to do the page count automatically. So it'll, once you click that sync button here, it'll start to find, how many files, how many pages do you have, and then it'll give you that estimate of where you fall into. And that's where you can kind of use the tools that we just discussed. So it'll tell you how many in total that you have. Maybe you want to disable it for accessible documents. That'll start to take the number down. Maybe you want to move some into the archive. That'll take the number down. So really kind of use that starting number as a way for you to game plan things. And then you can also estimate things for moving forward if you want to go back and add some files that you had previously deleted because it was too hard to make them accessible. You can bump it up from there. So the nice thing is that your first month is free. It's a free trial. So you might as, if you want, have it on for all of your files and then use those 30 days as your game plan, or just contact us if you need help, figuring out which ones to turn it on and off for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So any questions on any of that? Awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting, like all the things that can be done with it and in the tools. It's pretty powerful. And one of the other things that we think is pretty nice is just the the integration, so that like with billing and stuff like that, just bringing that closer. So when you are noodling around in there, you'll be able to pull up, your previous invoices and other things. Like one example here I could pull up is.
Oh, and one more question from Tamara, about the grouping. Oh, so what I mentioned earlier is if you're like seeing all of your files and you're not sure what to do with all of them, I was saying use these filter results up here so you can get rid of some that are maybe hosted elsewhere, those third-party documents you're not sure about. Maybe you want to check out the ones that are not compliant, or maybe you have, really good naming for your files and everything in 2017 has that name in it. You can just search by 2017 and then use this little box over here. And that's where you can bulk enable or disable. So that's a great way for you to start filtering by it. We are thinking about, I know a lot of people have requested like seeing when you've uploaded to Streamline. We don't have that capability just yet for you to see that date upload. So I would recommend using the title of, your documents instead. One more question from Sierra. Can we get rid of Adobe Acrobat Pro and use DocAccess instead? Yes, if that works for you. DocAccess is one of many solutions to accessibility. If you do want to fix all of those old PDFs, you can use Adobe Acrobat Pro to do so. But we would recommend, changing the idea of like what is your primary format, which is HTML. And that way you don't have to worry about those PDF, versions anymore. We're also working on a way to download the accessible transcript. So if somebody's, in a plane up in the air and they need to download a version, they need it to be accessible, that will be available too. So we're working on that feature.
Yep. And Danny is tuning in. So once files are made compliant, do we have access to them forever or only while we're paying for DocAccess? It is. So that's the catch is this is a service. So yes, it's 90% cheaper, but you have to have it engaged because things like IRA, the translation, ask a question, and the hosting of the pages, like a website, is something that you pay for. And we did everything we could to like just really get those costs down because we think like there's so many more organizations that would have compliant documents if it wasn't so damn expensive. And so, and it didn't take so long and it wasn't so soul sucking to even work on. So anyway, if that pops up or you find, you're noticing that, absolutely, we can help, with those pieces as well. Keep that cheap, but you do, that revenue predictability for us is what keeps us in business. So hopefully that isn't too much of an inconvenience. And that's just part of keeping the documents up to those standards. Now, one other thing I want to point out, we're in beta and we're 37 days old. And we've remediated over 5.4 million pages. DocAccess is rocketed off. So every once in a while, you might get a, hey, this is unavailable. Please wait a few minutes, or please let it load. It may be slow on the administrative interface, but your documents are never affected. They're hosted on a separate system that has worldwide redundancy. So that is it's very reliable to pull up the documents. Just be patient for the next like week or two in the administrative area. We're adding more capacity to that system just because there's just so much demand for this product. So thank you so much. We are, keeping that up and running for you and helping keep up with the just sheer volume of interest and excitement in DocAccess.
All right. So any other questions from anyone? There is a support channel within the app. So as long as you go to docaccess.com, sign in, you can get everything you need there. And then reach out. Mac and I will be the ones actually on your tickets just to make sure, since it is a baby, 37 days years old. So let us know if you have any questions about anything. We will be sending off an email with a recording and some more information as well. So thank you so much, everyone. Thanks. This all comes from your feedback. So we're happy to help.
Yeah, we could not do it without you and all of your support. So thank you. All right. Take care.